Let's see, we are holding by Nun Vava Medbeis 56b. We just went through one opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, of the source of the seven mitzvahs of Bnei Noach. And now we are up to the second wide line, the last two words. It says, Ki asa Rabbi Yitzchak, when Rabbi Yitzchak came, Tani Ibcha. So we just took a verse from Bereshis in the second chapter, which seemed to be extra, and interpreted every part of it to teach you about the seven mitzvahs of Bnei Noach. Rabbi Yitzchak is going to teach a little bit differently. Okay, so it says, Vayitzav, when it says in the Pasuk, Hashem commanded Adam Arishon, Vayitzav zu avodos kachavim. That is referring to idol worship. Elokim, when it says Hashem, that's referring to judges. So Bishlam Elokim zu dinim, that I understand why the word Elokim is referring to judges, because we have in other places in the Torah, the nikra of balabais, Ela Elohim, you can bring the person that you want to extract money from to the judges. But Ela Vayitzav zu avodah zarah, my mashma. Why is Vayitzav? Where do you see in the word Vayitzav any reference to avodah zarah? Vayitzav means he commanded. What's that do with avodah zarah? So now, Rav Chisda, Rav Yitzchak, Bar Rav Dimi, each one's going to have an explanation to try to explain that Rav Yitzchak taught. Chad Amar, when it came to Chet Egel, the sin of the golden calf, Saru Meher Min Haderech, Asher Tzivisim Asu Lahem. So there by the Chet Egel, it says in Parshas Kisisa, so you should go fast from the path that I commanded to you, and Asu Lahem Egel Masecha V'Yishtachvu. They're going to make for themselves an Egel Masecha. They're going to make a golden calf. So you see the word Tzivisem is in reference to, it's in reference to a golden calf. V'chad Amar, and another verse says in Hosea, so Oshik Ephraim Rotutz Mishpat Ki Hoil Halach Acharei Tzav. So there the verse is referring to 1 second. Yeah. There seems to be admonishing the Jewish people for following after the Nevi'ei Habal, the prophets that are prophesying about going after idol worship. And yet there it says the word, Ki halach acharei tzav. You went after tzav. Tzav is referring to the commandments that the false prophets commanded you. So there also the word tzav is in reference to idol worship. Says the Gemara, what's the difference if it's from Chet Egel, or it says Asu, or if it's from Hosea? Mai beinayu, ike beinayu, akum she'asa avodah zarah, v'lo hishtachav elo. Once again, the word Vayitzav, according to Rav Yitzchak, taught us that what? A non-Jew is commanded on worshiping idols. Where do we find Vayitzav in other places in Tanakh? That it's referring to avodah zarah. One place it says they made avodah zarah. One place they said they actually worshipped avodah zarah. It was referring to not to worship avodah zarah. What's the difference if it's asu or not? So the difference would be if a non-Jew makes an avodah zarah and doesn't bow down to it. Lamanda Amar asu, the one who learns from the verse asu, that what? In reference to the Chet Egel, that they made a golden calf. So from the moment he creates it, Mishas Asiya Mechayev. As soon as you created it, then you are going to be obligated. Lemanda Amar Ki Hoil Halach. So that other verse in Hosea says you actually have to go after the avodah zarah. So therefore, it's only once a non-Jew actually goes after the avodah zarah. Ki Hoil Halach Ad de Azil Basra Upalachla, until he actually goes and bows down to it. Okay. So now, Amar Rabba, is that really true? Really? A non-Jew goes and builds an avodah zarah and doesn't bow down to it? He's going to be chayiv. He's going against the Torah. Is that true? The Hatanya, but it says in a brayso, ben Noach muzar aleihen, things that a Jew gets killed for, a non-Jew is prohibited from doing. But ein beis din shal yisrael misan aleihen, ein ben Noach muzar aleihen. Thank you very much. But things that a Jew does not get killed on, a non-Jew is not going to be warned on. So now, what is that referring to? What is that referring to? What's the case where a Jew is not going to get killed, and therefore a non-Jew is not going to be warned on? Ma'ilav, we're not coming to exclude Lemu'ute Akum, a non-Jew. Sha'asa avodah zara, he created avodah zara. V'lo hishtachav elo, a non-Jew who creates avodah zara. So a Jew who creates avodah zara does not get killed for creating avodah zara. So since a Jew won't get killed for it, a non-Jew is not prohibited in doing that. Right? The Brisa says only something which a Jew would get killed for does a non-Jew have a chance of being prohibited in. So if that's true, how could one opinion say that a non-Jew is going to be being warned for the mere creating of avodah zara? They're only warned on things that if that same thing by a Jew would get killed for. That's what this Brisa holds, and that's the problem. So Amar Papa, no, it's not coming to exclude the case of a non-Jew creating avodah zara. Rather, it's coming to exclude gifuf v'nishuk, hugging and kissing in avodah zara. Oh. Yeah. So gifuf v'nishuk demai. 1 second. That's right. By avodah zara, there's rules. There's rules that you are obligated only when you serve it in the way it's meant to be served. So gifuf v'nishuk demai. So ilema kidarka, if the way everyone serves this idol is by kissing it and hugging it, then if you do it, the non-Jew gets killed. That's called serving avodah zara. That's not a case where that's avodah zara. And if you do it, ella lima'ute shelo kedarka, that brisa must be coming to exclude a case where a non-Jew served the avodah zara shelo kedarka in its not natural fashion. So let's say everybody slaps the idol high five, I don't know, and the non-Jew goes and hugs it, or whatever it is, or everyone throws stuff at it, and the non-Jew hugs it. So that's something which, if a Jew did it, he wouldn't get killed, because of avodah zara you have to do a kedarka, and therefore, if a non-Jew does it, that's something which a Jew does not get killed for. Therefore, a non-Jew is not going to be obligated in. Yeah. But it sounds like, according to one opinion, the creation of avodah zara, according to one opinion, according to Rabbi Yitzchak, so meaning Rabbi Yitzchak himself is already novel that he says Vayitzav is referring to avodah zara. Within Rabbi Yitzchak, there's two opinions where you find the word Vayitzav by avodah zara. According to one of those opinions, it sounds like the mere creation of avodah zara would be something which would be the non-Jew would be prohibited in. But yeah. Okay, so now dinin, laws, b'nei Noach ifkid, a non-Jew is obligated to create laws. So what is that? So the Hatanya, it says in a brisa, Eser mitzvos nistavu, last week's parsha, the Hatanya Eser mitzvos nistavu Yisrael b'Mara, there was 10 mitzvos that the Jews got in Mara. Mara was after they left the Yam Suf, and they complained, they said the water was bitter. So then they got 10 mitzvos. So Sheva shekiblu alehem b'nei Noach, 7 of them the non-Jews accepted, and then there was an additional 3. V'hosifu alehen dinin, laws, v'Shabbos, v'kibbud aveim, and honoring your parents. So now, dinin, how do I know dinin? That there was laws obligated, which simply probably means make sure you establish courts in each place to follow your rules, or to have society have a basic functioning. Dinin niksiv sham sam lo chok u'mishpat. Over there, Hashem placed for us chok u'mishpat, laws and statutes. So, okay, Shabbos v'kibbud aveim. How do you know Shabbos and kibbud aveim? Tiksiv ka'asher tzivcha Hashem elokecha. So this week's parsha No, it's not true. Parshat V'Eschanan, sorry. By the second time we got the second time that they recorded the Ten Commandments, it says, Shomer Yom Shabbos Lekacha. You should keep Shabbos. Kasher Tzivcha Hashem Elokecha. Like I commanded you. When else did you command us about Shabbos if not by Har Sinai? Says the Gemara, V'Amar of Yehuda, Kasher Tzivcha. I commanded you when? In Mara. Okay, but what do you see? You see that 7 commandments, 7 commandments they accepted, and then it sounds like the Jews got 3 more added to them. But the Bnei Noach did not accept dinim, and yet we just said that they are obligated. One second. Sorry. It sounds like how can you tell me that they were already commanded in dinim? It sounds like dinim was added in Mara. So if you're learning dinim from Adam Rishon that they already commanded in it, how could it be that we got them in Mara? Sounds like they were not yet commanded. Says the Gemara, no. The dinim that were added when it comes to Mara was something else. That was le'eda, the edim, the hasra. What the Jews got in Mara was not dinim, the general make courts in every town. That we had already. That was already part of the Shemitz they know we got from Adam Rishon. It was le'eda, that you have to have a bezdin of 23 to kill. Yeah, that was Eda. Edim is you have to have witnesses. The Hasra, and you have to be warned first. And those things, the non-Jews are not obligated in, as we're going to see coming up. Yeah. So, those were the 3 things that were added for the Jews. Eda, Edim, Hasra, but not that dinim, regular creating courts was added, because that we had already. That even the non-Jews had. So now, if that's true, what does it mean that it says, and they added for them dinim? It sounds like dinim, they added dinim means the idea of judging was added to them. According to what we're saying now, it's the details of the judging. It's not that they added the idea of judging, meaning establishing courts. These are they added specific requirements of how to execute. So the Gemara is bothered by it, but that's when you say v'hosifu alehem dinin, when you added dinin laws. So if it's referring to exact details of how the judges could execute, you shouldn't say that they added dinin. They added general laws. You should say that they added mitzvahs hadayan, and they added commandments for the judges to execute their judgment. So says the Gemara, really, the dinim by Mara must be something else. It was the laws about judging penalties. So says the Gemara, Barakasi v'hosifu bit dinim mibayilei. They added. It should have said they added within the laws. They added more laws, but the fact that it says they added laws sounds like the very essence of a law, meaning establishing courts. That's what was added. Says the Gemara, you're right. Ella marvaka bar Yaakov lo nitzach ella lahoshiv bezdin b'chol plachu plach b'chol plachu plach b'chol ear ve'ear. I guess it wasn't just the requirement to Right, I guess it wasn't just the mere that you have to follow the laws. Originally, we thought that hosif aleim dina means just to have a law system in place. That's what was commanded to the Bnei Noach. And now we're saying, you're right. The fact that you have to have commandments in place, that we had from Bnei Noach. What they did was to ensure that every city and every town had a court. That's what was added over here by Mara. So says the Gemara, the Habnei Noach lo ifkid. It sounds like only the Jews got these extra three laws: Shabbos, Kibbutz Avim, and Dinim. And now Dinim is referring to establishing a court in every city. And so it sounds like only a Jew is obligated in that, and not a non-Jew. Says the Gemara, really, a non-Jew is not obligated in establishing a court in every city. But they did him b'chol blaka blaka b'chol ir ve'ir. Kach nitztavu b'nei Noach lahoshev, but they did him b'chol blaka blaka b'chol ir. Explicitly in the Brisa says, just like a Jew is obligated to establish a city, a court in every city and every town, so too a non-Jew is also obligated. So once again, in Mara it said the Jews were added 3 things. One of them was dinim. It sounds like only the Jews got those things. So Shabbos and Kibbutz Avim, we know already. It's only for us. However, dinim, it sounds like we're trying to figure out what it means. Ela amarava hayitana tana debe menashehu. Really, this brisa that said that we were added dinim in Mara sounds like only the Jews got it and not the non-Jews, which flies in the face of this brisa. But that brisa that said that we added this idea of dinim was the opinion of Tana debe Menashehu. Tana debe Menashe, in his counting of the 7 of Bnei Noach, what did he do? Demapik dach. Dach is an acronym for 2 of the commandments. The ayil sach. And he adds in 2 other commandments. So let's see what that means. The Tana debe Menashe, the Tana debe Menashe, he has his own count of the 7 mitzvahs Bnei Noach. And what are those? Those are the following. Avodah Zara, that's 1. Idol worship. Gilui Arayos, illicit relations, is 2. Shfichas Damim is 3. So far, that's all the same. Gezel, 4, that's the same. Eber Menachai, that's the same. Now, these 2 were not in our count, but they are in Tana debe Menashe's count. Sirus v'kilayim. So he adds in Sach. Sach is castration, I think whether by a human or by an animal. V'kilayim, or forbidden mixtures, which we had earlier, probably means just the animals, to put the animals together or to graft trees, but not shatnez. So now, but he doesn't even have dinim as part of the 7 mitzvahs of Noach. So according to him, you could understand the word dinim by Mara in its literal sense. We got added to either means we got added establishing courthouses in every city, and that's fine because that's only something for the Jews, but not for the non-Jews, according to Tana debe Menashe. Fine. So that was all about dinim, about the non-Jews and their laws. Now, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Adam Rishon lo nitztava ela al avodah zara bilvad. Rabbi Yehuda is another novel opinion that the only thing Adam Rishon was commanded on was only to not do avodah zara, and that's it. Shenemar, vayitzav Hashem Elokim ala Adam. Vayitzav Hashem Elokim ala Adam. Vayitzav is as referring to avodah zara that we had earlier. So that's the only thing that Adam Rishon was commanded on. Don't do avodah zara. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Omer, afal birchas Hashem. He adds one more. He was also commanded on this idea of not to curse God. V'yesh omrim afal adinim, and the yesh omrim, another opinion, says he was also commanded on keeping the basic laws. Okay, so now Kiman Ozla Hada Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav. Who is the author of the following statement? Which Tana is reflected in the following statement of Rav? Elokim ani. So Hashem is saying, I am God. Lo sekalaluni. Don't curse me. Elokim ani lo simeruni. I am God. Don't exchange me. Tmura. Don't exchange me for another God. Elokim ani yehei morai aleichem. You should have fear of me. You should have fear of me. So yeah. So Rashi says this having fear of me is actually referring to keeping laws, because it says by the laws you should make sure to have fear of me and not fear of man when you're coming to judge a Jewish law. So you might get intimidated the fact that the guy in front of you, is a billionaire and supports your whole city. At the end of the day, don't be scared of him. If he's guilty, he's guilty. You should only have fear of me. So who is that opinion reflected? Kiman ki yesh omrim. That's like the yesh omer that we just said, that said that Adam Rishon was commanded on keeping laws. So this statement of Rav that says, I am God, you should fear me, meaning you should fear me and not fear man and judge accordingly, is according to the opinion that holds that Adam Rishon was commanded on making sure he judges properly and keeping the laws. and setting up a court system. Okay, now, Tana Debei Menashe. Sounds like he said that Adam Arishon was only commanded on one thing: don't do idol worship. So now, I Darish Vayitzav, if he interprets the pasuk of a Vayitzav, that pasuk we had earlier was the source of all 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. So why'd you stop at Vayitzav? Keep going, keep expanding the verse. So afilu hanach nami. So you should learn the other 6. And ilo darish Vayitzav. And if you don't learn from the word Vayitzav, so then hani min ole. Then where do you learn this idea that Adam Rishon cannot worship other gods? So la'olam lo darish Vayitzav. You're right. Really, Tana Debei Menashe does not expound that verse of Vayitzav in the second paragraph of Bereshis. Not that he only is commanded on Avodah Zarah. Tana Debei Menashe had another count of 7. He took out Dach and he put in Sach. So how does he know his 7? So says the Gemara, not from that pasuk of Vayitzav, because if you would expound the verse of Vayitzav, then you should learn the same 7 as we learned earlier. But yet you removed 2 of them. You removed dinim. Making laws is not part of his count. And he removed, what was the other one he removed?
Was it blasphemy?
He removed Dach and added Sach. So Sach we know is Sirus and Kilayim. Dach he removed, so the Dalet is Dinim. And what was the Chaf? Let's just see, what was the count? One second. I'm not sure. Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. Ubirchas Hashem. He does not have the laws, and to blaspheme God is not one of the 7. And he adds in Sach of Sirus, of castration, and Kilayim for forbidden mixtures. So we say, where do you get your 7 from? If you get it from where we got it from, so you should learn like us. Says Gemara, no, he didn't interpret that verse Vayitzav. Rather, each one of his 7 he learned individually from different places in the Torah. Okay. Hani kol chada v'chada b'apei nafshei ksiva. Okay, so here we go. Avodah Zarah v'gilui arayos, when it comes to idol worship and illicit relations, dichsiv by it says by Parshas Noach, v'tishaches haaretz lifnei Elokim, the world was destroyed. Was not destroyed, it was corrupted. Thank you, corrupted. V'tishaches haaretz lifnei Elokim. Okay, so now what does it mean corrupted? What does that mean? I mean, a lot of things can corrupt the world. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel, Kol makom shnamar hashchasa eino ela davar erva ve'avodos kachavim. Corruption of the world is when it comes to illicit relations and idol worship. How do I know that? Davar erva, when it comes to illicit relations, it says shenemar ki hishchis kol basar es darko. It says there, the next verse in Noah, that all of mankind corrupted their way. Their way, the simple interpretation is to mate with your mate and not with illicit relations, not with somebody else. That's the normal path to be. And yet it says, Ki hishchis kol basar es darko. All of mankind corrupted its way. Yeah. Okay. Avodos kochavim, how do you know that? Vatishaches, corruption, refers to idol worship. Dichsiv in Dvarim Dalid, Pentashchisun v'asisun v'gomer. So it says there that don't be corrupt and make idols. So you see, idol worship is a form of corruption. Now that's all Tana Debei Menashe. Now what does the other opinion who learns this from Vayitzav and Bereshis? How does he interpret these psukim in Parshas Noach? He says the other opinion says, or chayu dika megali. It's just it's not commanding you. It's just showing you that this is what happened. The world got corrupt because of these things, but not that this is the command that you shouldn't be corrupt. That I learned from the pasuk of Vayitzav in the second parak of Bereshis. So now that's 2 out of the 7 for Talmud Menashe. Number 3, Shvichas Damim. Where do you learn out that a non-Jew is commanded for Shvichas Damim? So, just to point out one thing, these verses in Noach, how do you know that a non-Jew is commanded? Because they get killed for it. Hashem wants to destroy the whole world. And according to Talmud Menashe, he's only going to destroy you if you're warned for it. So it must be they were warned. They were warned about these things from here. Since they're getting punished, it must be that they're warned. Shvichas Damim, the third one out of the 7, it says, also in Parshas Noach, Shofech Dam Ha'adam V'Gomer. Just if you spill blood, so what's going to happen? So then Hashem is going to, then your blood's going to be spilled. Meaning, don't kill somebody. That's number 3. What does the other opinion hold? Who does not learn from here? Ve'idach katlayuhu de kamagali. He's just telling you that in which death are you going to get? So if you kill somebody, then you will get then you will also get killed. But it doesn't tell you that you're commanded. The commandment for that is in Vayitzav, is in that pasuk in Bereshis. Okay, that's number 3. Number 4, Gezel. How do you know you can't steal? So says Talmud Menashe from, again, Noach, Ki yerek esev nasati lechem as kol. So Hashem says, I gave you to you the ability to eat from the yerek, from the grass of the land, from the food of the land. Rashi said that esev, really yerek esev is referring to anything which grows from the ground. It doesn't involve so much work. So, okay, now let's see. V'amar bleibi, v'amar ki yerek esev v'lo ki yerek gina. He says you can only eat from the vegetation that grows, but not from the one from someone else's garden. I mean, you can't go to the one that someone planted and take that stuff. That would be stealing. Okay, what is the other opinion that learns the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach from Vayitzav in Bereshis? What does he do with this pasuk? Hahu lemishri basar huda'asa. Very fascinating. It's coming to tell you that now a person is allowed to eat meat. Before they were not allowed to eat meat, only grass, trees, vegetation. But now he's allowing to eat meat. Yeah, and I guess Yerek Esev is not only referring to vegetation anymore, it's also referring to, I guess, anything food related. Yeah.
Discussion about the live animal.
Oh, he's just saying that the verse says Kol remes asheru chai lachem yela ochla ki yerek esav. The beginning of the verse says any crawling, any animal that's going is permitted to you, just like yerek esav, just like things that grew from the ground, that grew from the trees, that Adam Arishon was allowed to eat, so too you're allowed to eat meat. Okay, that's 4. Number 5, Ever Menachai. How do you know that you can't eat the limb of a live person that was removed from him? How do you know you can't eat that? So the flesh, you can't have the flesh of a person. So that's number 5. What does the other opinion hold about this verse? Sounds like it permits the Noach to eat the creepy crawlies. Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's 5. Stirus, castration. Dichsiv in Noach. It says, Vatem pru urvu, shirtzu ba'aretz urevuba. talking there to the Bnei Noach, and it says you should populate the land. If you castrate yourself and you're unable to do that, that's prohibited. The idach, what does the other opinion hold? It's just a blessing. You should be fruitful, multiply. It's a blessing, but it's not a command. Okay, kilayim. How do you know that they're prohibited and forbidden mixtures? Dichsiv meha'of leminehu. It says by that a oaf, a bird, should only go according to its species, and not to another species. Meaning, you can't take a bird and mate it with someone that's not its mate. The idach and the other opinion says ahu litzafsa ba'alma. It's just saying that each species prefers to be with its species, to be together, to be have companionship. Litzafsa ba'alma, but it's not coming to command you. Okay, fine. So that is basically two main opinions. 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. 2 of them are different, and either they're learned out from the second chapter in Bereshis of Vayitzav, or each one is learned individually. Seems like primarily from Parshas Noach. Okay. Amar of Yosef, Amri Bei Rav. Says Rav Yosef that he says over in the Academy of Rav, Al Shalosh Mitzvos Ben Noach Nerag. Only on 3 of the mitzvahs Bnei Noach does a person gets killed, and the siman is the way to remember it is Gesher. Literally, Gesher is a bridge. Maybe it's a bridge to death. I don't know, but Gesher. Okay, what are Gesher? Al Gilu Arayos, Al Shvichas Damim, Ve'al Birchas Hashem. So, illicit relations, killing somebody, and blaspheming, to blaspheme God, to curse Hashem. Those 3 get, according to Rav Yosef Amar Bei Rav, those 3 get the death penalty. Now, Maskefla Rav Shesha had a question on this. Bishlam Shvichas Dam, I understand spilling someone's blood. Dichsiv, Shovek Dava Adam, if you spill someone's blood, then your blood will be spilled. But how do you know that for illicit relations and to blaspheme God, that those 2 also get the death penalty? Hanach min Allahu. So now, if you're learning from Shvichas Damim, from killing somebody, then all 7 mitzvahs Bnei Noach should get the death penalty. Afilu kulunami imishum. So that's imishum disrabi me ish ish. If you're learning it out from the fact that it says ish ish, even to include a non-Jew, so then avodas kochavim nami srabi me ish ish. If you're learning from the pasuk of ish ish, that is by illicit relations. It says ish ish, talking to Jews. It says ish twice. So maybe there you're including a non-Jew to be killed for illicit relations. But then avodas kochavim, even when he does idol worship, he should also be killed. It says there also ish ish. Okay, so not from there. El Amar Sheish Amar Bei Rav, like this. Al Arba mitzvahs Ben Noach Nerag. For 4 of them, the non-Jew gets killed. The Al Avodas Kochavim Ben Noach Nerag. One of those 4 is also Avodas Kochavim. So it sounds like we learn the illicit relations from Ish Ish to include a non-Jew, and also we learn Ish Ish to include a non-Jew for idol worship. So that's 4 of these mitzvahs they get killed. Says the Gemara V'Hatanya about Avodas Kochavim, but it's talking about Avodah Zara. Is that really true that a non-Jew gets killed for Avodah Zara? Devarim shebezin shel Yisrael may miss in a land, ben Noach muzar land. Something what the Jewish court kills for, a non-Jew is warned about, but he's only warned and not killed. Azhara in misa slow, and when it comes to idol worship, that's something which a Jew is killed for. A non-Jew is only warned for. Azhara in misa lo. So you see from there that a non-Jew is not going to get killed for Avodah Zarah. That flies in the face of what was taught in the Academy of Rav. Says the Gemara, Amar of Nachman Yitzchak, no. Azhara shelahen zuhi misasan. By the non-Jews, there's no 2 things, a warning and a punishment like we have. Their warning is their punishment. As long as they're warned, they get punished. They don't need an additional verse in the Torah to teach them you're warned. And another verse tells you you get punished for that. Whatever they are warned on, they get killed for. Yeah. Okay. Rav Huna of Rav Yehuda, V'kul Talmidei de Rav. Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda and all the students of Rav said the following. Amri, Al Sheva mitzvos ben Noach nerag. he gets killed for all 7 of the mitzvahs b'nei Noach. Gali Rachmana Bechada, Vehu Hadin Lekulu. Hashem showed us in one place that he gets killed, and therefore the law is going to be the same in all 7 places. Says the Gemara, okay, well, one of those 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach is stealing. The Ala Gezel ben Noach Nerag, really? For stealing, you get killed? The Hatanya Ala Gezel, when it comes to stealing, the following laws are true. So, Ala Gezel, like a headline, Ala Gezel, Ganav, Vigazal, whether you steal in the nighttime or the daytime, V'chein Yefas Tohar, that's also a form of stealing. You're taking a lady, the one that you go to battle, and you find a girl and you take her home. That's also a form of stealing. V'chein Kayotze Behen. And that, the Gemara is going to ask, what does that mean? And similarly, the similar ones to this. Something similar to stealing, similar to capturing the woman in battle. We'll see what that is. Okay. Now, Kuti bekuti. So, a non-Jew with another non-Jew. I'm assuming it means if he's already married, to take another non-Jew, right?
Against in Israel is prohibited.
Before that, the one before that.
A Kutin against a Kuti, or a Kuti against an Israelite.
Meaning he was already married?
Kuti is prohibited under Noahide law to steal from either a fellow Kutin or from an Israelite.
Right. Oh, so maybe it just means stealing, not just stealing, not illicit relations. So a non-Jew can't steal from a non-Jew, kuti bekuti, ve kuti b'Yisrael, and a non-Jew cannot steal from a Jew. However, v'Yisrael bekuti mutter, a Jew is allowed to steal. I think in halacha there's another aspect of here called chil Hashem. If it's going to be a chil Hashem, so then if destination of God name, then you're right. It happens all the time. Yeah, you get more change than you're supposed to at the cash register. So what do? You give it back? You know, my friend bought tickets one time, $1,000 tickets, charge him $100. What do? So celebrate, yeah. So if it's a chil Hashem, if you can avoid the chil Hashem, then you're supposed to, I believe. Okay, now the im Isa. Now, if they're chayiv, so why didn't this brisa say a lashon of chayiv? Why did it only say it's usher? Chayiv sounds like it's biblical. You're obligated. Usher sounds like it's more rabbinic. Ve'im isa nisni chayiv. You should say chayiv. If stealing is one of the 7, why did you not say chayiv? You only said usher. So says the Gemara, no, really, it really means chayiv. I chose that language just to contrast it with the end of the brisa. Mishum de kabai lemisni seifa. At the end it says Yisrael bekuti mutter. A Jew can steal from a non-Jew. That's permissible. So then Tana Reisha Aser. So I taught in the beginning of the brisa that it's prohibited. Now there's chayiv means you're obligated. Aser means you're prohibited, and mutter means it's permissible. So generally the rule of thumb is chayiv always refers to a biblical commandment. In the Masechah Shabbos, everywhere. Chayiv is always biblical, Aser is always rabbinic, and mutter is, do as you wish. So, but here we're saying the mutter, prohibited, and Aser are closer to each other than mutter v'chayiv. That's like extreme. Permissible to biblically forbidden. So really stealing is biblically forbidden for a non-Jew. It just chose the language of Aser because it wanted to contrast it to the language of permissible. It's closer to mutter than chayiv is. So therefore, Tana Reisha Aser. Says the Gemara, really? Is that true? The kol heicha de isle chiyuva misni katani de katani Reisha. Whenever there's it says it's really chiyuva, you're really obligated. It really teaches it'll use a different language and teach the way it was taught in another part of the brisa. Is that really true? That if we can prefer to use one of 2 languages, chayiv, obligated biblically, or aser, we're going to choose the one that's parallels better the other part of the brisa. Is that true? It says in the beginning of that brisa, the katani reisha al shvichas damim. When it comes to killing, so kuti bekuti, a non-Jew to a non-Jew is vekuti b'Yisrael chayiv. That is obligated, meaning you're biblically not allowed to kill a non-Jew to a non-Jew or a non-Jew to a Jew. If you do that, you're chayiv. However, Yisrael Bakuti Pater. But a Jew killing a non-Jew is only going to be Pater, rabbinical and not biblical. Interesting. Yeah. Rashi said something interesting. Yeah. Yeah. But you see, the beginning of this brisa used the word chayiv, even though the very end of the brisa said mutter. So just because it says mutter at the end of the brisa doesn't mean you can't teach chayiv. Look at the beginning of this brisa; it taught chayiv. So why, when it came to stealing, did you not use the word chayiv? Unless you say that stealing is not one of the 7 mitzvahs commanded biblically to a non-Jew. Says the Gemara, you can't bring a proof from the beginning of the brisa which spoke about killing. Why? How do you want to teach? Hasam heichi lisni asr umutter. You wanted to teach prohibited, asr, and mutter, and permissible, but it's not true. It's not permissible. V'atanya kuti v'roi behema daka lo malin v'lo meridin. A non-Jew or a shepherd. So their animals, you're not allowed to bring up to the. Sorry. Lo malin v'lo meridin means that if they fell in a pit, you're not obligated to take a non-Jew out of the pit from killing them. However, you're not allowed to place them into the pit. Meaning that when it comes to killing a non-Jew, you see that you're not allowed to kill them with your hands. So the brisa could not have taught mutter. It had to teach that it's usr. You can't teach that it's permissible to kill a non-Jew. So even though you're not obligated to remove him from the pit, but you are prohibited from throwing him into the pit. So yeah. So that's why it had no choice. It had to teach chayiv. So once again, really stealing from a non-Jew, the language should have been chayiv, and really it is one of the 7 mitzvahs. Just use the language usr to contrast it to the end of the brisa, which taught permissible, which taught the word mutter. So it fit better, and you have no question from the beginning. Okay, let's stop here.